Hello everyone, thank you to be here and to watch our presentation. This presentation is named Environmental Sensitivity, the Place of Emotion. We made it with Beatrice Pargel from Dauphine University and Leo Trespech from EQTR University in Canada. So, in fact, Greta Thunberg, the environmental activist and the personality of the year for the Time magazine, has helped to reveal environmental sensitivity of many individuals. This sensitivity regarding environmental impacts appears in a new form of behavior such as flight shame or fly scam. Faced with this movement, companies have reacted. For example, EasyJet or Air France in France have offered to their users the possibility of offsetting the carbon emission of their flights. However, faced with this action, many questions appear. Are this practice sufficient to reduce the carbon impact of these polluting transport services? And regarding the climate emergency, can we underline and can we identify some feelings regarding anger or vulnerability of individuals consuming this transport, which is in fact the subject of this presentation. So, when you watch this video, can you answer to this question? How many of you are happy to not come to plane to Paris for the RCO? How many of you are reduce their airplane travel before the COVID-19? How many of you use carbon compensation? There are present questions that we decided to investigate. So we mobilized the environmental sensitivity defined by Scholar as a predisposition to take responsible environmental action. So we identified in fact two perspectives on environmental sensitivity. Egocentric perspective identified that previous research confirms the association between environmental sensitivity and individuals' value. The work from Stern and his colleague suggests that environment will be a new value in contemporary societies. They suggest that individuals will therefore behave in an environmental friendly way if they understand their harmful consequences. Also, sociocentric approach groups many studies that advocate a global analysis of how individuals take the environmental into account. Studies focus on a set of variables that can change collective behaviors, such as Bagozzi or Shapiro, the need to effect social change to promote, facilitate, and ensure environmentally responsive behavior is highlighted in their work. So the two approaches, individual and collectives, seems to be in fact complementary in understanding environmental sensitivity. Indeed, some aspects are specific to the individual: eco-responsive purchases, intention to have a positive impact on the planet, and others are expressed through a group of significant awareness of the well-being of humanity, such as shame, guilt, or fear of human extinction. So, regarding emotion and environmental sensitivity, we did not find a lot of work in the literature except the work of Grode, who underlined that in order to have an environmental consciousness, emotions must be attached to recognizing that they are environmental issues. as a one set or sustaining of the issues is often linked to people behavior. However, recent societal development shows that environmental sensitivity includes cold glow feeling like shame or anxiety, as opposed to the warm glow feelings from Managerial, shoulder and throat into recently. So in order to propose a new and update measure of environmental sensitivity, a first exploratory study was carried out on 27 individuals, and secondly, we have we made a scales and we collect data. So I will present you the first one, the exploratory study. For the methodology, we had 27 respondents were interviewed on how they think, feel and behave regarding the environmental impact and traveling by plane. The interview were conducted using a guide divided into five sections. The first one was mobility and air activity. The second one was awareness of the ecological problem proposed by air travel. The third one was individual reaction to this question. The fourth one were the conditions that could make it possible to change travel habits. And finally, we finish with individual relationship with ecology. So in interview lasted on average 50 minutes, and individuals were on average 46-year-old. Results reveal people were involved in the environmental sensitivity, and based on the interview, we identified three constructs, three-dimensional construct of the environmental sensitivity. The first one is environmental consciousness, the second one an eco-anxiety, and the cold glow feeling in the third one. So I present you some verbatims to underline the findings. So environmental consciousness have been founded in the interview. We have the verbatim of one of the interviewer. We close our eyes as usual. Haha, it's terrible, but what I'm saying is awful. The second one, eco-anxiety, linked to climate change and the impact on humans on the planet, emerged several times in the interview. I'm not preoccupied, rather optimistic about the rise of consciousness, but worried that it won't spread globally. Some countries won't want because they aren't economically developed. We will completely differ option and politics, so we'll make the world even more differentiated regarding the development and the impact of environmental anxiety. And third one, the cold glow feeling emerged from interviews as negative feeling related to the human impact on environment. Oh no, honestly, I don't. Well, now I'm starting to have a bad conscience. But seriously, when I buy my plane ticket, I'm not telling myself, oh no, I'm polluting the planet. I'm doing it. So after that, we conduct a main study following the analysis of the responses we obtained in the first one. We ask 5 experts to generate items, and we collect 38 items associated with the 3 dimensions: environmental consciousness, eco-anxiety, and cold glow feeling. After that, we conduct a qualitative study and obtain 2031 responses to obtain validity, nomological validity. So result, we conduct principal component analysis followed by Promax rotation. which allow an examination of dimensionality and suggest items for deletion. A 3-factor solution with 11 items was most appropriate solution based on a variety of commonly criteria. Inspection of the screen plot, interpretability, eigenvalue, greater than unity. The scale show adequate convergent reliability and validity. All items had high factor loading exceeding a cutoff point of 0.50. Reliability coefficient exceeds the cutoff standard of 0.17, and AVE were superior to 0.50. Conforming to the presentation guideline advances by Enzeler et al., we use the suggested criteria for overall model fit and assess each of the measurement of the structure of models. For the overall models, the SRMR indicates that the model show an acceptable fit. The SRMR is close to the recommended cutoff value suggested by Hugh and Bentler, and the reliability important amount of information is being considered at the measurement of the structural level if we follow at this stage the Waller and Al indicator. Then the structural part of the model was studied. As indicated in figure, all our two values are in the classic criteria level. All pass coefficient prove statistically significant, with a t-value greater than 2 over 95% confidence interval that do not include the 0. So, regarding our result, we propose a first theoretical contribution. As this study made it possible to propose an updated definition of environmental sensitivity and a definition. So environmental awareness associated with negative feeling, which accompanies the adoption of pro-environmental behavior. Then, environmental sensitivity are connected to individual and collective issues. Secondly, what our study shows is that the higher the environmental sensitivity is, the less individual will be required to travel since they feel negative emotion such as shame or guilt. Compulsory effects such as donation can be considered. Regarding our managerial contribution, our results show that airlines companies are recommended to base their communication campaign on carbon offsetting around their social interaction. For example, with the possibility for consumers to share their trip is carbon neutral on social networks to reduce the guilt and shame of flying and increase social acceptance. For environmental organization, eco-anxiety and the desire to have a positive impact on the planet are the way to encourage using the other mode of transport when possible. So, for the conclusion, to conclude, both studies of this research are concerned with negative feelings. In the case of fly shame, this study have revealed two levels of commitment. The most advanced ecologists in terms of environmental consciousness will reduce their air travel, while individuals who experience both global warming, like shame or guilt, will further reduce their carbon emission in response to a likely cognitive dissonance. Thank you very much for your attention.